Lion and Molynes cancel out each other in Jerusalem. The Vere are staring relegation square in the face, and it was an ugly game at Drax Hall. But we start one place and one place only, and that's at the Anthony Spalding Complex, where both Cavalier and Arnett put on a show. This is Match Week 33 Review Show. Yes, people, welcome back to Jump Hill Fun, and Match Week 33 was, well, quite interesting at least. But as promised, we just got to start in the jungle, where the Caribbean champs, needing wins, went and take on the home team. In terms of the starting lineup for Arnett Gardens, well, Roger is the preferred Williams in goal, Shivani Willis kept his spot in midfield, and Warner Brown is back from international duty to partner Fabian Reid. In terms of the starting lineup for Cavalier, their own captain Richard Kidd will be starting once again after returning from Jamaica duty. Their other international star, Shaquille Steen, will start up front, and there was a change in goal as Vina Barkley was rested in favour of Jadine White. Now, as soon as the game started, you got the idea that this was going to be a fun one. Arnett started with more attacking rush as they came down the left hand side, which led to Shivani Willis eventually picking up the ball at the top of the box right here, but his deflected shot went out for a corner. But from that corner, Arnett will get on the scoreboard early, a ball played to the back post, and Fabian Reid, using a bit of experience and muscle, wiggled himself free to get off not just one shot, but the second one that eventually went to the back of the net. 1-0 to Arnett, and that's the legendary striker's 102nd of his career. Cavalier, as I stated, needed a win, so they upped the tempo and tried to get something back. And when the ball was played into the box from the right hand side for McCleary, he got it just in time before Watson, who took down the player in the penalty box, and referee Nicholson did not hesitate to call a penalty. Just like that, a big chance for Cavalier to get back in the game, and Busy Atkinson duly obliged with this nice panenka. 1-1, and it was cool as you like for the liquor number 10. After that, the intensity kind of dialed down a bit as both teams looked to catch and breath before the game came alive again out of nowhere. Again from another corner from that same left hand side, so another inswinger come into the box, and Warner Brown rose highest and nodded into the back of the net. Big goal again for Arnett Gardens, and they take the lead once more, and that's the new Reggae Boy Heroes 19 of the season. But Cavalier, just like they did after they went down the first time, up the tempo again as they tried to find another equalizer very quickly. This time was a good combination between Allen and Busy, where Sir Allen got in front of the goal again in the box, but Watson this time did well to block his shot and keep Arnett goal safe. But the next wound will be self-inflicting. Joel Jones had all the time in the world right here, but he dilly-dally on the ball a bit and was robbed of it by Richters, who played the pass perfect enough for Busy Atkinson to run on one-on-one with Roger Williams, give him the snake eyes before hitting it over the keeper into the back of the net. 2-2, and once again, Arnett shot themselves in the foot. It should have been even worse for them going into the halftime break because Cavalier kept up their momentum, and Richters on the right hand side here played a delightful ball into the box and found his fellow countryman in Steen, who did well to get his header on target, but he couldn't manage to get it underneath the bar. A big escape for the Junglists right before the halftime break. Second half will be light on goals but still filled with so much drama, starting with this fairly early attempt by Arnett that really should have been taken care of easily by Jadine White, but as you can see right here, the Harbour snuck in. Then after that, the major controversy of the game kicked in as Calvin did well to come down the left hand side, take on his men one-on-one before he cut it on his left foot to try to square the ball inside the box. Only thing was, it was stopped by Arnett Gardens player who seemed to have done it with an outstretched hand. But referee Nicholson immediately waved it off, citing that the player's arms was behind his back, and I must admit, even looking at the replay again, I have no idea what the referee is saying. Clearly you can see here on the replay that his arms are fully outstretched even though it's behind his back, and that's gotta be an unnatural position. I'm very surprised that Rudolph Speed did not kick up a storm about this call. Nonetheless, Cavalier kept on coming as they looked to find a third and eventual winner. First, King tested Roger Williams with his free kick that he managed to just do enough before one of the pass of the season by Busy Atkinson set off Calvin free again on the right hand side, who did well to now tee up the ball at the back post for Richters, but well, the pitch helped out the home side right there as it bubbled over his feet. But it was looking more and more likely that Cavalier would find a winner. But Arnett was still fighting and was still in the game and had some dangerous moments of their own at the other end before they were given a golden opportunity to find a winner, where another set piece was floated into the box. It should have been easy meat and drink for Jaden White, but he elected to punch the ball, but he punched it straight to Jeremy Nelson, who couldn't react enough to really get his shot on target, and it went harmlessly wide. Clearly, some nervous moments for the Cavalier keeper, who was later substituted as Rudolph Speed had saw enough. At this moment in the game, it seemed that Cavalier had done all they could and was kind of running out of steam, as the game was just drifting along into a stalemate before we got one more bit of magic from Busy, who did well to cut past two defenders here and try to whip a shot to the back post, but he mishit it and it went straight to Roger Williams' arms instead. That will be the last major opportunity for anybody in this game, as once again Cavalier and Arnett play out to a 2-2 draw. So absolutely a fun game, and still surprised we didn't get a winner, but here's the game in terms of stats. Well, they're equal in terms of goals as well as total attempts, 6 apiece, while Arnett had 4 of those on target compared to Cavalier's 5. They're also equal in the amount of yellow cards, 2 apiece, and again they were equal on corners as well as possession. So it was another great advert for the league. You know, something we come to expect, it seems, once Arnett is playing, especially on a Monday night. But Zebert Kilbert will be telling you that he did not enjoy that game one bit, as despite their playing well going forward, once again individual errors at the back cost them dearly, which are basically shades of the Arnett team of last season. As for Cavalier, I'm still fairly shocked that they did not find the third goal and winner in that second half based on the numerous chances that they created. But they should also count their lucky stars that some of Jaden White's mistake didn't cost them on the other end. Also, I'm a bit perplexed that a team that did so well against the likes of Suarez and Messi keep finding it difficult to get clean sheets in the JPL. Anyway, it was a fun one nonetheless, as the game ended Arnett Gardens 2, Cavalier 2. So we move on to our next game, which was a curtain raiser in the jungle, as Chapelton Maroons was taken on Waterhouse. In terms of the starting lineup, well, there's a big change in goal, as Garfield Tomlinson was given his debut between the sticks. DNG Cunningham once again will play in his former home ground in the back line, and youngster Dustin Cohen will be given another chance to see if he can get his first goal. In terms of the starting lineup for Waterhouse, Lionel Jefferson is on great form, so of course he kept his spot on the left wing. Nicholas Hamilton kept his spot up front, and it's same young back line of Chris Paul, Bolt and Wilkes to defend Akeem Bernard. Alright, now when the game started, Chapelton tried to possess the ball like they normally do straight from kick-offs, but Waterhouse pressed them well, and thanks to a massive mistake from the referee quite early, they were given a free kick just outside the box, which of course is Fletcher territory, but his free kick just went wide. Chapelton almost made them paid early on for that miss, when they had a free kick of their own where Deacon found the head of Austin, but he also missed the target from close range. Then from there, it was all Waterhouse as they kept on coming to create some decent half chances, either from Jefferson here on the left or from the numerous set pieces that caused Tomlinson fits in goal. But it was still 0-0 when Andrew Fletcher did some magical work right here to tee up Martin Davis on the near post, who opted to shoot instead of square but hit the post. So Waterhouse was coming closer and closer, but that would be the last major chance before the halftime break. Second half, Waterhouse come up with much more fire again, trying to get that opening goal, and they will get a bit of luck after some very clumsy defending by Juma Johnson in his own box caused them to concede a penalty. Fletcher is normally dangerous from outside the 18-yard box, so of course from 12 yards out, there was no stopping him, and Waterhouse will get their deserved 1-0 lead early in the second half. They kinda took their gas off the pedal a bit after that, as Chapelton changed gears, as they were now desperate to try and get something out of the game, and while they couldn't really find much on target, especially from the free kick, they still have the exploits of Deacon, who worked his own magic here on the right hand side and got a bit of help from very poor and sloppy defensive work from Waterhouse. Then he cut his ball back to the stop of the penalty spot before the ball was laid off eventually for Cohen right here on the back post, and while his weak effort was on target, Bernard should have done a bit better as the ball squeamed off his hands and went into the back of the net. 1-1, and the Maroons had to dig and fight and claw for that one to get back in the game. Waterhouse, sensing that they need these 3 points, up the tempo again and try come at Chapelton, who were stout in their defensive shape and did not allow Waterhouse much looks at goal, but they did have one more major opportunity in stoppage time with yet another Andre Fletcher free kick, and he did well to get this one on target, but young Thomason also did well to match it and get it over the bar. A big start from the youngster on his debut to keep things at 1-1, and that's where things would remain as Waterhouse just could not find the winner and the Maroons picked up a crucial point. So it was a result that favours the Maroons more than Firehouse Nation, but how the game turned out stats? Well, Chapelton managed to have 6 total attempts in the game compared to 9 from Waterhouse. Chapelton had 2 on target compared to 4 from Firehouse. They were equal on yellow cards 2 apiece, and Waterhouse had way more corners as 11-8. But they were also equal in terms of possession at 50 apiece. Alright, let's start with Waterhouse here. Well, their 2-game winning streak comes to an end as they just draw this third one. But they did play fairly well, but again, some real sloppy work at the back cost them dearly. It remained to be seen if it would cost them a playoff spot as well. Also, Chapelton, it's clear that Voss Reynolds brings something new to the squad. They brought some tenacity that was missing from majority of the season, and it was on full display in this game. Even going down by 1 goal, Chapelton are never really out of the contest, and they did well to achieve another point towards safety. So it was a good game, and once again it ended Chapelton Maroons 1, Waterhouse FC 1. For our next match, we look at 2 teams desperate for a win, but for very different reasons, as Racing United hosts Vere United. In terms of the starting lineup for Racing, Captain Markovich Brown overcame a recent knock to start, Andre Clennon is out in favour of Stefan Spence, and Demain Smith makes a rare appearance. As for the visitors Vere, Kai Butler makes a return, so too Kevin Atkinson after suspension, and Tariq McGee is back from international duties. Now, when the game started, it was yet another decent start from Vere. They would also turn that good start into the first real meaningful attempt at goal by any team with this mad scramble around the Racing's box. But eventually, Racing would settle and even find the game's opening goal. A cross into the box caused the Vere backline chaos before the ball fell kindly to Nikai Ellis to hammer it home and put Racing up 1-0. After this, it was all smooth sailing for Racing as they dominated the ball and started to create some good looks at goal. Vere was not yet down and out for the count as they had a brief moment of fight back, even drawing Brown into making a decent save right here. But with Ellis running the show in midfield, Racing would end the half with the better opportunities but made a horrific meal of each and one of them to go in only 1-0 ahead at half time. It was a crazy and at points hilarious start to the second half as Brown had to take matters into his own hands after his defense failed to deal with a Vere free kick into the box, and his clearance was so precise that it ended up sparking an immediate counter down the other end. Now, I felt Racing should have made more of this, but the Vere defender's clearance cannot off the attacker and almost went into its own net. That would have been a blooper of a goal. Racing would keep things going, again controlling the flow of the game and creating some good half chances going forward. And as the clock ticks away, the game became more stretched and Racing was finding themselves consistently behind Vere's back line, but just like the first half, failing to convert any of it. Meaning Vere was still in the contest, and maybe with a little more composure right here, they could have easily found the equalizer. So Racing knew they still needed a second. And they almost found it sometime after that with another quick direct play and some skillful footwork. They set up the chance right here, but it just agonizingly passed the upright. But that seems to just encourage the Racing players to keep going to find a second, as the final 10 minutes was all them as they looked more likely to score next. But they would come even closer with another breakaway, but credit to Edwards in the Vere net as he kept his side in the game with his save a little while longer. But Racing perseverance would eventually pay dividend after a nice sweeping move down the right hand side and low cross into the 18-yard box that found Molynes, who smashed it home with a one-time effort to kill off Vere in the contest for good. Vere would show some pride at the end by drawing Brown into another huge save, but it will be his and Racing day as the ref blows his whistle and ends this contest. So it was another good outing for Racing, but how was the game in terms of stats? Well, actually, both teams were dead even on possession, 50-50, but Racing won out on total shots, 12-7. Racing also led the way with shots on target and also had more dangerous attacks with 75 to Vere 68. 3 corners to the home team and 4 corners to the away side. Alright, let's begin with Racing. No, that's more like it. After they looked rather pedestrian last week against Tivoli, they were still a bit wasteful on numerous chances they created, but credit to them for not dropping their heads and kept plugging away till they found the second. As for Vere, I am not sure if this is a case of too much youngsters failing at this level or that the few experienced players they do have failing to carry the bulk of the weight, but at this point it has become an eyesore. Again, they have some talented individuals, but you need everyone, not just 4 or 5, to make it in this league. Once again, it ends Racing United 2, Vere Phoenix United 0. So with Vere once again losing, both Molynes and Dunbeholden met in Jerusalem hoping to avoid the same fate. In terms of the lineup for Molynes, Jason Wright returns to the lineup, so too Nikishe Murray and Enrique Gordon replace Dante Fitz in defense. As for the Lions, well, despite the short rest between their victory over Cavalier on Thursday to this match, Coach Thomas picks an unchanged 11 to go into this game. And maybe it was a genius move as the Lions would take the lead right after kickoff. Straight from a corner, the ball bounced around a bit in the penalty area before landing neatly for Richard Ramsey, who smashed it home and not only gave the Lions the early lead, but also placed even more pressure on Molynes. There would be an immediate response from Molynes as Jason Wright would race away to have a good look at goal, but thanks to some good pressure from the Lions defender, he fluffed his shot over the bar. The game would become a bit open after that, with both teams trading a decent amount of chances at the opposite ends, before Dunbeholden will use another corner to bring terror to the Molynes defense right here. But Molynes would survive, and then thanks to some great team build-up play would produce a good opening for Tyreek Wilson, but his shot was spectacularly saved by Glenroy Samuels in goal. Molynes would keep up this momentum and end the half much stronger, but despite their best efforts, could not get past Glenroy Samuels in goal before the halftime whistle. Second half no, Molynes would keep up the pressure and would produce some great chances via Romari McPherson and Javon Brown, but they both saw their shots blasted away from the target and away from safety. Molynes would keep up the pressure though and would eventually get their equalizer after Dunbeholden failed to clear after blocking a series of shots, and the ball eventually fell for the lucky Peter McGregor, who hit it low and finally beat Samuels in goal. 1-1, and Molynes were probably thinking there is enough time to get a winner. But Dunbeholden would be the one to have the next big chance to get the go-ahead goal. A glorious opportunity fell to Steve Arnett, but he managed to hit the ball over the bar from just 3 yards out. And things would then get even worse for the Lions, as in the 78th minute, Ricardo Campbell would be ejected from the game after picking up a second yellow card. But despite being a man down, the defense came together and held well, and Molynes couldn't pick them apart, and in fact, Chambers had a big chance to steal the win for the Lions, but he too got his shot over the bar from 3 yards out. So that left Molynes pressing for the final winner against 10 men, and they had one last great opportunity, but Peter McGregor managed to drag his shot just wide and let the Lions off the hook. The final whistle will be blown not long after that, and both teams will have a share of the spoils. So it was a result that helped no team, but how was the game in terms of stats? Well, Molynes had 48% of possession compared to the Lions 52. But here where things get different now, Molynes had 12 total shots in the game compared to only 5 from the Dunbeholden. But only 2 was on target for the home team compared to 3 from the visitors, while the Molynes had 96 dangerous attacks compared to 105 from Dunbeholden. 3 corners to the Molynes and 4 corners to the Lions. Alright, let's start with Dunbeholden here first. Well, they don't normally travel well away from Clarendon, and after playing the last 12 minutes down 10 men, you could say in terms of context, they'll be happier with the point. But they know that time is running out, and this was a big chance to distance themselves for the relegation zone. As for Molynes United, I can imagine they are not happy campers. In fact, the coaching staff even declined to comment after the game because they knew this was a big opportunity to climb out of the relegation hole. Anyway, once again, it finishes Molynes United 1, Dunbeholden 1. Now we move on to a couple of games that sadly we don't have much information on, starting with Dunbeholden's home tie against Harbour. We do know the lineup, starting with the home team. Dunbeholden brought back Vassell in goal, they brought back DeAndre Thomas in attack, and the veteran Damian Baines will lead the back line at the back. As for Harbour, Harding returns back to the starting lineup, so too the veteran Andrew Fagan up top, and Luca Kong was back in midfield. Again, sadly, there is no report or footage of this game, so I can't really tell you how the flow of the game went, but I can tell you Harbour managed to find a winning goal thanks to some great technique and a bit of luck. A free kick just outside the box right here, see Trevor Reed step up and he put a good curling effort on target that beat Vassell in goal, but hit the post but bounced back out to only catch Richard Brown off guard that saw it come off his knee and went to the back of his own net. 1-0 to Harbour, and that's all they will need as they will see out the game to pick up crucial 3 points. So, did Dunbeholden put up a fight at home? Well, all we got is the stats to go by, and they managed to have 7 total shots in the game according to 6 from Harbour. They also had 1 shot on target the entire time compared to 0 from Harbour. 1 corner to the home team and 5 corners to visitors. 2 yellow cards to the home team and 3 yellow cards to the Harbour, but there was no red card in this game. Okay, so once again, there's nothing much to go on to really analyze how both teams play, but based on the stats, it seemed that defense won out, or at least maybe the attacks were lacking. But Dunbeholden though, again loses another game on this home patch, which was once where they were unbeatable. While Harbour, well, it was ugly, but at this point in the season, our ugly win is better than a pretty loss. So once again, it finishes Dunbeholden 0, Harbour 1. Okay, for our next game, we have even less footage, well, none at all actually, and even less reports to go on, as Montego Bay hosted Portmore at Catching All. All the information I could gather on this game is that it was actually quite a nice match, with both teams trying their best, fairly competitive, fairly equal, but both teams' goalkeeper were the men of the match, so it's no surprise that it ended in a goalless stalemate. We do have some stats to paint a better picture of the game. The home side had more possession with 53% compared to 47% from Portmore United. Montego Bay had 11 total shots in the game compared to 15 by Portmore. As you see, they put up a good fight there, but they were quite even on shots on target, 7 apiece. Now you could understand why the goalkeepers were very busy. Montego Bay had 40 dangerous attacks compared to 45 from Portmore United. 4 corners to the home team and 3 corners to Portmore United. Again, I didn't see this one, so it's hard to really break it down. But with Arnett eventually dropping points, I felt that Montego Bay will be more hurt by this goalless draw. While Portmore, well, they had 15 total shots in this game, 7 on target, and still cannot score. So it seems it's the same old. They need a goal scorer. Anyway, once again it finishes Montego Bay 0, Portmore United 0. Now we move on to our final game, which to be honest, it was one of the worst games I watched in this league for some time, which was more pleasant hosting Tivoli Gardens. In terms of starting lineup for more pleasant, Odin Pennycook starts again against his old team. Melvin Dockley comes into midfield as McCullough is not in the squad, but Anglin returns from Jamaica duty safe and sound. As for Tivoli Gardens, John I. Williams is the man in defense. Nelson once again leads the line, and Kevin Garnett was preferred in midfield over Nathan Thomas. Now, from the opening whistle, you could immediately understand what was the game plan by Jerome Wade and his men, as they were very physical and did not give Mount Pleasant any time at all on the ball. It's been some time that I've not seen Mount Pleasant really got into the passing groove, but it did manage the first shot on target, I guess, from this free kick from Gadiel Irving that was easily snapped out by Horton. Not much happened in the game after that, but Tivoli did carve up probably the 2 best chances of the game. This one right here where the ball was played over the top for Lennox Russell, who managed to reach it before Davis could come out and grab it, and while it was on target, Odin Pennycook did well to read the play and head it off for safety, as I'm quite sure he did not want to lose this one against his old team. Tivoli's second chance came from a corner, the ball played to the back post. After a bit of chaos right here, Davis has to come far out to his goal to smother another good shot and produce another good save. And that will be all, honestly, from the first half. But the second half was even worse, and honestly it put me to sleep and I had to wake up and replay the second half just to see what was happening to report to you guys. And honestly, there was not much. Each blue shirt that touched the ball had 3 or 4 orange shirts around them, as Mount Pleasant was simply too slow in the build-up play to get around Tivoli's pressing. And when you're forcing Joshan Anglin to make shots from 40 yards out, you know you're doing your job well. And then at the end of the game, to make it even a clearer indicator that Tivoli was quite fine with the point, they were dropping like flies all over the pitch as they continued to milk the clock. But eventually it worked a charm, as Mount Pleasant really could not find anything at all to try to get a 1 goal, and it ended in a boring 0-0 stalemate. So honestly, not the prettiest game at all, but how was the game in terms of stats? Well, the home team really tried, especially in that last half, but majority of their 11 attempts were really from far distances and really off target. While Tivoli only managed 4 total attempts, where 3 of those came in the first half. Mount Pleasant had 2 on target from that 11. As I said to you, they were kept far away from goal, while Tivoli only managed 1 on target. Look at the fouls counter right here. Mount Pleasant had 18 compared to Tivoli's 16. 3 yellow cards apiece, but no red cards in the game. And in terms of possession, Mount Pleasant had more with 53% compared to Tivoli Gardens 47. Alright, let's start with Mount Pleasant right here. I did state in the preview that they might be a little bit rusty after the long layoff, and I won't necessarily say that was the issue right here, because that would be a disservice to the tactics and execution of Tivoli Gardens. I honestly just thought they weren't allowed to play on the bumpy pitch, honestly did not help the cause either. As for Tivoli Gardens, it was a clear sign they came here not to lose, and on that front, it was mission completed. Kevin Arnett was given the man of the match, and he deserved it as he was immense, shielding that back line, especially in the second half. So good job done by Jerome Waite and his team. So once again, it ended Mount Pleasant 0, Tivoli Gardens 0. So that was match week 33. Well, not the most exciting, but we definitely had the great game between Arnett and Cavalier to wipe the memory of that Mount Pleasant versus Tivoli game. Anyway, let's move straight to the league table. Mount Pleasant remained in first on 69 points, 3 ahead of Arnett Gardens in second. Montego Bay United is on their tail though in third on 65 points. Portmore is a distant fourth with 54 points. Cavalier is still hanging around a bit with 49 points in fifth. Tivoli still kept their 6th spot at the moment with 46 points. Waterhouse are only 1 point behind with 45. Racing is in 8th with 44 points, but they do have 2 games on hand. Dunbeholden is stuck in 9th gear with 33 points. Harbour made a good jump again with 31 points into 10th. Chapelton did well to keep out of relegation troubles for now with 30 points in 11th. Molynes make sure they did not stumble back into relegation with that draw, so they are in 12th with 29 points. Same with Molynes in 13th with 29 points. And the only team that's probably in the biggest trouble of them all is Vere United in 14th with 23 points, a big 6 points away from safety. And there's no rest for the JPL as there are games again in the midweek as match week 34 rolls along. Here the games are coming up starting on Wednesday as Vere has a tough match at home against Mount Pleasant. Harbour will be at the compound and welcome to visit our Racing. Portmore will be at Ferdinand Park to take on Molynes United. Then on Thursday, Dunbeholden will take on Chapelton Maroons. Molynes will be hosting Arnett Gardens. Tivoli Gardens will be at home to Cavalier, and Waterhouse will be taking on Montego Bay United in Jerusalem. Alright guys, that's all I got on this latest match week review show. Thank you all for watching, and please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep you all up to date leading up to the final in May. Otherwise, with great JPL content, you're already at the right place. JPL Fun. YouTube, big up yourself.